Hello. David, can you hear us? He talked, yeah, let me calm down. But we can't hear him, so it's not streaming him yet.
He just grasping for air.
Now he's unmuted. David, can you talk now?
Now it says I'm unmuted, yes. This reminds me of the first time in COVID.
It usually says the broadcast is recording at the beginning. I didn't hear that. Did anybody else hear anything like that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You should. If David can hear us, it should be working. But it definitely usually says something at the beginning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you guys.
I didn't ask to be here. I wasn't here then. You sure heard us last time you walked out on us in the rain. But June, you should have heard us the last meeting. You walked in, it was raining, you walked out. You should have heard what we said about you then. That was funny. Oh, you can't hear us. Dave, can you hear us?
I just heard you, but I have not heard before that.
Okay, so you can hear us.
Now I can, yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can. It's a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle. So I guess we're good to go ahead, right? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's important. David, we're not speaking yet. Okay, we'll go ahead. So, good evening, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting, the next meeting of the local planning agency to order on Tuesday, August 24th at 7:11 p.m. Before we begin, I have a few introductory remarks. At first, I'd like to welcome Christina Carullo. Thank you for joining us and taking care of us. We're going to need all the help we can get, so we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I also have some. So my name is Adam Miller, and I'll be presiding over this meeting. As we begin, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items for the commission, applicants, and members of the public, and for the applicants and members of the public present tonight remotely. We're getting a lot of feedback. Is that David, maybe? David, can you mute, buddy? Thank you, sir. So, for any applicants attending remotely, they will be muted. You'll be muted by staff until your agenda item is called. Once called, the applicant will be unmuted to make their presentation and answer any questions of the commission. When your item is complete, has been voted on, you are free to leave the meeting. For the public comment will be solicited during each actionable agenda item. Once I ask for public comment on a specific item, please click raise your hand in the GoToWebinar in order to make public comment. Before being individually identified, all members of the public will be muted. Village staff will announce the speaker by stating their name and unmute their audio to allow up to 3 minutes of public comment. When called, please state your name and address for the record and proceed with your comment, speaking clearly during your allotted time. Some additional important notes: please limit background noise to the extent possible. When speaking, please be sure to identify yourself so we know who is speaking, and do not use the chat or question function in GoToWebinar, as these functions will not be monitored during the meeting. And as a reminder, this meeting can be viewed live on Comcast Local Channel 18 or streamed at royalpalmbeach.com/YouTube. So we're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christina, can we have the roll call, please?
Chairman Adam Miller,
Present.
Vice Chairman Philip Marquis,
Present.
Commissioner June Perrin, Commissioner David Leland,
Present.
Commissioner Ray Nazareth, Lauren McClellan, alternate 1, Gerald Brown, alternate 2.
Thank you, Christina. I'd like to ask that the meeting minutes be approved. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Motion made by Commissioner Marquis. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner McClellan. Before you, David. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. The minutes pass 5-0. Thank you for that. So our only item on the agenda is ORD 1014 AR, Chapter 20, Sign Code. The applicant or owner, which is the Village of Royal Palm Beach, is requesting to amend the Village Code of Ordinances to modify Chapter 20 in accordance with the Reed v. Gilbert decision. Mitty, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I don't have a 200-slide presentation for you tonight, but what I do have for you is a draft ordinance, which, simply put, revises the village's sign code at Chapter 20 to make it conform with recent Supreme Court jurisprudence and subsequent case law after that. But the more important part is the Supreme Court decision that came down. Strategically, we didn't do this right when the decision came down to see how it was going to play out in the law. That was an intentional thing, so while I'll tell you it's a recent case, it's from 2015, but we waited on purpose. I tried to give you a pretty thorough explanation of the sections that are changed so that it was as clear as it could be. Essentially, what you can't do as a local government anymore is regulate anything strictly based on content. So you'll see that many of the strike-throughs are to put in what's called content-neutral language, so that we're not regulating political signs strictly because they're political signs. We're regulating signs that meet the legal test under that case that would, if we were challenged, not be overturned. So if you want, we can go through the sections and you can ask me any questions. There's similar revisions throughout each section. Nothing really substantively in terms of the sign regulations themselves. So no changes to sizes of signs, number of signs. Strictly, we're revising this just to make it content-neutral language. As we always do with code changes, while we're in that section, there's a couple of just typos that we fixed, a couple of inconsistencies, outdated code references that we updated, but I'm happy to answer any questions. It's relatively straightforward. The biggest change that you'll see in terms of substantive addition is on page, and I'll point you to it and explain why we put it all in there, but we put essentially all of the case law. We put reference to the village's comp plan. That's strategic. That's by design. We put that in there so that if we ever are challenged, the village's ordinance ever is challenged, that we have enough substance to explain why the village is meeting its compelling governmental interest. As you read in there, if you read the backup, it's aesthetics and also police powers we're talking about. So it starts on page 8 and 9, but there's a whole lot of reference to the various cases, the legislative intent of drafting this ordinance. But again, it's all designed to ensure that if we ever are challenged, that we would meet the legal test, which, because of the Supreme Court decision, is a pretty high legal standard. So there's a reason for all of that language being put in there. But with that, I'll ask you all if you have any specific questions or anything that I can further explain.
I read through it. It looked great to me. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I didn't have any questions. Maybe we'll go around to the commissioners. Commissioner McClellan, any questions? Commissioner Perrin? No questions. Commissioner Markey? No. Commissioner Leland?
David,
I have no
go ahead.
Now we can hear you, man.
What did you say, David? We didn't hear you.
No, I said I had no questions.
Great. Okay. Do we have a motion on this item?
Before we have a motion, Mr. Chair, if we could solicit public comment. I know we don't have anybody in the room, but I'm not sure if anybody's on the computer.
I'd like to open the floor to public comment on this item. We have no one in person. Do we have anyone online? Okay. I'd like to close the floor to public comment. So now I'd like to request a motion to be made. Motion's been made by Commissioner Perrin. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Markey. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August 24th. That is today. September. Okay, our next meeting will be in September. Do we have the date?
Yeah, I'm getting you a date. Hold on just 1 second.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 28th at 7 p.m. We look forward to seeing you all. Do I have a motion to close this meeting?
I will make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion made by Commissioner Leland. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Marquis. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.